To get rid of those pesky ads, request stories, listen to unlisted and bonus episodes, and to chat with the gang, support us by clicking the description link.
So, you guys ready to get started? You want to take another shot?
We can do the Christy shot.
Yeah, all right,
request,
Christy.
which I think we will all enjoy much more.
What's up, Chris? What's you guys up to? Chris, you're 28 minutes late, man. I'm just kidding.
All right, so those are the shots for Christy.
Okay, Christy, this is for you.
Christy K or Christy C?
Christy C.
Christy C.
Christy C.
Surprise shots. Surprise shots. We don't know what they are because they're a surprise.
Cheers, guys.
Oh, yes.
Cheers.
Smells
Cheers.
good. Lauren, take notes. Oh, my God. So last time we talked about Phoebe Handsjuk, and I also mentioned some other trash chute deaths, which was kind of a cliffhanger.
3 more.
So,
But you said there's something in common. You said there is a
no, I
commonality.
said I know the killer. I didn't say it's something common.
You mean other than the trash chute itself? Like the blades of death in there?
Blades of Death.
Ooh, that's a good name.
Yeah, Shram.
I was thinking something like dumpster fire, dumpster...
Blades of Gory. I came up with it.
I think that's been a title for an episode we've used.
Maybe.
Whatever.
Maybe in a different one, though.
All right, let's go to the apartment and see what happened here, because there was some things found in the apartment that are very questionable.
In which apartment now? We're going back and forth.
So now all right.
Back to Phoebe?
We are going back to Phoebe. Yeah. So that was basically just a clickbaity kind of thing.
So there are other trash chute murders, is what you were going with there.
Yeah.
Or trash chute deaths.
Deaths. Yeah. Thank you for the correction.
Yeah. But it's crazy that so many people are dying from trash compartments. So look at this guy. What a dick. You did it. You did
He
it.
has a beak nose.
He does.
This is inside of Phoebe's apartment right here, and the boyfriend's aunt's apartment. As you see here,
There's a lot of stuff on that floor.
there's a lot of stuff. There's broken glass. There was a glass, and they didn't say if it was
There's the Chinese food on the counter.
there was broken glass in the apartment, and when detectives tried to piece the glass back together, it was not complete. They couldn't find the rest of the glass. There was also a lot of blood in the apartment too. Now, this guy, Ant, goes into the apartment, and you saw it, and it's a mess, and he decides to order Chinese food instead of worrying why there's broken glass and blood everywhere.
Red flag.
So,
Yeah. Can I just say something I don't think I've ever said before?
no, we should wait.
I don't know why I opened this. I don't want this beverage.
Give it to me. Give it to me.
John likes it.
I just recapped it
Why?
because I didn't know.
Take the cap off, please. There was blood not only in the apartment, but in the doorway too, on the architrave. Did I spell that right? Say that right? Architrave. It's like not
Something wrong with there.
It's not the arch, so it's not the top of the door, but the bottom, the very bottom of the door. There was
Okay.
blood spots there.
Like the
there
baseboard.
There was blood on the wooden study table. In the hallway, there was broken glass, and like I said, the glass didn't make together a full cup. There was blood on the computer mouse.
That's a weird place for there to
Yeah.
be blood because, like, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, tell me.
No, I just feel like that's not something that you would touch in the moment.
Yeah.
No? Yeah. Like, that's something you would, there may be like residue of blood on your hands while you're scrolling, but not something that you would use in
Like
an argument.
the first thing. to
Yeah.
go for.
Yeah.
So there's blood on the computer mouse. There's also blood in that refuse room, like around the door and stuff. There's blood everywhere. Several drops of blood on the refuse concrete floor, on the actual floor. So there was blood and glass in the apartment, and this guy orders Chinese food, and then he goes down and talks to the detective. They say, "This is your girlfriend. She's deceased." He falls on the floor and he starts screaming, "Why? No."
No tears, no snot.
Well, the detective noticed no tears or snot. This guy, Anthony, is
A douchebag.
going to be very well known for his theatrical cryings with this case.
Would he win a Razzie, you think?
Let's talk about the key fob. This is very important. Every time a resident either swipes the lift, the car park, the front door, wherever, the restaurant, the shitter.
If it's the public one, yeah, probably.
The dump seat, the poop cabin.
Like, this doesn't even make sense
Keep
anymore.
going.
You're just making words up. But I hope you're enjoying yourself.
Every time a resident was to enter any building, even not just their apartment, but the apartment floor, they cannot get to the apartment floor unless they have a key fob, and it registers in the system every time. And it is pretty modern. This apartment building was commissioned 2008. This is a pretty well working system. For the car park, which Anthony puts his Range Rover in, you would have to call the manager's number. The manager is sitting there. Now all the screens are in the manager's office, and they're watching everything going on on the video. So if you were to park your car, you would have to call the manager. He would see you on the CCTV, and then he would let you in if he knows you. If he doesn't recognize you, then you wouldn't get in. However, there is a buzz system. If you put in 1201, it buzzes upstairs in the 1201 apartment, and then you can get buzzed in without a key fob. That makes sense?
Yeah.
That is possible. On that day, there were contractors working on the lifts. Now, the blood found in the number 1 lift, which became a source of speculation, was actually found to be the contractor's blood from the day before. He cut himself like a little bitch. He cut himself. This guy cut himself, and he bled in the lift. You cannot enter the building from a fire escape. You are exiting so you can enter the front of the building, but the fire alarms were weird. That is the only way you can actually get into the apartment without being kind of recognized, unless she was to buzz somebody in. We know Ant was at work because his key fob didn't register.
Okay.
However, his friend, Christo, was in the apartment. Not his apartment, but his own apartment.
Right.
That's all we know. Okay. But the fire alarm, it is possible for someone to come in during a fire alarm because all the doors are open. However, the system is designed so when you go out the 12th door, the 12th floor fire door, it locks behind you. So you can't run in the bottom and then go up to the 12th floor. You could get up there, but you can't go in unless someone was to, put a piece of tape over the thing so it doesn't shut. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Phoebe. Born May 9th, 1986, oldest of 3, 2 brothers. She attended the Sophia Mundi Steiner School. So that school in particular is focused on teaching through art. So painting, music, modeling, sculpture, stuff like that. It's a very artsy school, which fit her personality perfectly because Phoebe was a free bird.
A friend of Phoebe's memorial page said, I remember her walking up to greet me with a rose. I remember saying that I was really scared to start school, and she told me that I had nothing to be afraid of, that I had amazing things to look forward to, and that it's okay to be a little scared sometimes. She actually took my hand and walked me upstairs and right to my desk and said she wouldn't leave me until she saw me smile. She was absolutely beautiful. Aww.
She is very photogenic, I will tell you that. Let's talk about her teen years. This is going to become important because the investigation thus far is that she committed suicide. The investigation started and remained that she committed suicide on her own free will. And it remained that as a decision for about 2 years until the family, the Handsjuk family, which are middle class, they pulled money together to get a coroner's inquest, which happened 2 years later. In the coroner's inquest, they interview everyone who was a part of the scene, all the detectives, all the managers, anyone that came in contact, all the neighbors, everybody. But you got to keep in mind this is 2 years later. So memories are pretty fragile. So that, and also Anthony and his family, this is a prominent, prestigious, the most prestigious judge in all Melbourne. Like, you're telling me that you want to go up against this guy? You know what I'm saying? Like, that ain't going to happen at all. So, in fact, all the lawyers that the Handsjuk family tried to hire, most of them, as I was reading the book, actually studied under Anthony's father.
Yikes.
So it's like,
Yeah,
okay,
that's
you
a
want
little
me to try to get your son for murder, or you want me to try to get Anthony for murder? Yeah, I don't think so, type of thing. So they're kind of pushed behind a wall at this point. But let's talk about her teen years, because suicide was the predominant theory for a long time. Her teen years, she became extremely hormonal, difficult to manage, erratic behavior, incurably romantic, and very sensitive. She was not only a free bird, but she was a hopeless romantic. she loved you, but you can never tie her down type of thing. You know what I'm saying? She also started drugs in high school.
Ooh.
Ecstasy, marijuana, alcohol, and her words, this is from her words, quote, everything except heroin. Now, in this episode, I'm not trying to talk bad about the decedent here, okay? But it's very important that we go through her background, warts and all, because this was deemed a suicide. So
which I don't understand. But I know.
So when Anthony's family, who Anthony is the one getting blamed for this all of a sudden, you know, his family, they're really trying to make it seem like it was a suicide, right?
Okay.
So she started doing drugs, everything except heroin. She preferred cocaine and alcohol because it didn't make her depressed the day after. Her best friend Alice said the following: she could never be kept by someone. She was a floater. She drifted in and out of people's lives at her own will. She probably used people a bit. She wanted to be mysterious. Now, this girl is 23 years old when she died. Anthony is 40, you know?
Yeah.
And Anthony,
Too old, man.
Anthony owns his own events company. Very successful. Celebrity friends, rich friends. And Phoebe, middle-class family, works as a server, you know? Not
Just trying to make it.
not from that family.
Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack there. Like, Anthony is bringing her to all these events and with all these celebrities and influential people, and she's a normal person. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of stress going down here.
Do you think he knew Nicole Kidman?
I don't know. It's a great question.
She's Australian.
All Australians know one another.
Yeah.
Lauren, do you know Nicole Kidman?
Oh, but like you said, like the family was prominent.
Do you think he knew the dingo that killed that baby?
The dingo ate my baby.
Another friend said the following:
Although she was loved by so many, she could never be yours to keep. You could only have Phoebe for a moment and then she's gone without a trace.
At 15 years old, Phoebe ran away. This is crazy. She runs away at 15 from her home, and it was a loving home. She lives in Epping, Australia. She actually lives in a campsite, almost like a homeless campsite, for 8 weeks. She's living with other girls. She runs away. She lives at a homeless camp for 8 weeks with other girls. She was absent for so long that she had to transfer schools to a new one, which is fine because the reason she left, the reason she ran away, is because at 15, she actually fell in love with one of her teachers.
Oh.
An older man, 36 years old.
Like the ABBA song.
They actually had a relationship that lasted about 2 years. That was her first real relationship ever. The first time she felt love was with her teacher, you know.
That's problematic.
She left school at year 11, so keep this in mind. She's not even a graduate.
She dropped out of high school?
Yeah, she dropped out of high school.
Or secondary, whatever the Australian equivalent is.
She is with an older man who is very successful, prominent family, celebrities, influential people, dinners, a lot of dinners because this is event planning, a lot of big dinners, traveling, and she's a high school dropout. Not to talk bad about her, but this is what it is.
Yeah.
High school dropout who doesn't really fit into this life at all. She leaves school at year 11 and she gets jobs in sales and services. Basically, she's a bartender. All right. She was depressed in her late teens. She had mood swings. She began antidepressants, but would stop the antidepressants when she felt better. And then she became depressed again, which I used to do that too.
Yeah.
As I said before, she found alcohol to be her vice.
Which is interesting because alcohol is a depressant.
Well, alcohol and cocaine. That's what she.
Well, that kind of balances you out, I guess.
Quote, after only a couple of drinks, she would become clumsy and uncoordinated.
Well, she was small, right? She was petite.
Yeah.
So I guess that makes sense.
On one occasion, Phoebe and her grandmother were having coffee together when Jeanette noticed a Band-Aid on Phoebe's arm. Reaching across, she pushed up Phoebe's sleeve. "What's this?" "I cut myself." "Not deliberately." "Yes, deliberately. I didn't mean anything bad. I just wanted to hurt myself," she told Jeanette. "Not to harm yourself, not suicide?" Jeanette asked. No, just to hurt myself. "You promised me that if you ever have any thoughts like this again, you will contact me day or night. Do you promise?" "Yes, I promise."
So Jeanette is the grandmother. She was extremely close to Jeanette, the grandmother. Extremely close. Natalie is the mother.
Got
Jeanette is the grandmother.
Okay.
So Natalie recalls on one occasion her mother, Quote, on one occasion when Phoebe was about 20, I came home and found blood on the trampoline and the bathroom sink. I couldn't find Phoebe. She didn't answer the phone, but I managed to track her down via a friend. When I made contact with her, her explanation was that she'd been making a piece of art and had cut her hand. I knew she must have been drinking. So now does the blood stains in the apartment make a little more sense here? The grandmother said...
She could cut her hand in glass.
Yeah.
Cup or something.
The grandmother says when Phoebe drank, she could become verbally aggressive and a bit smart-mouthed, sometimes saying things that might result into her getting into trouble. She started self-harming, as you just read. You know, what did she say? She said, I cut myself. Yes, deliberately. I didn't mean to do anything bad. I just wanted to hurt myself. That's her exact quote. She started cutting through her teens up until her death. She was a cutter, and her death was at 23. All right, so any questions so far?
No.
All right, let's talk about if she was on any drugs or anything. All right, let's still go down the suicide route, but let's get this out the way. Her toxicology report. Ethanol, alcohol, 0.16 grams per 100 milliliters, which you probably can tell us, I couldn't do the math, but it's 3 times the legal limit here. So
Legal limit there is 3 times the legal limit here.
No. Well, he's just, I don't know what the legal limit is there. He's just saying.
Oh, sorry.
It's
She was
3 times our legal
I got
limit.
confused.
No. The 3 times the legal limit there, whatever that is. I would imagine it's about the same.
Sure it is.
Probably.
Yeah.
But that's where she was when they tested the blood. Now remember, they didn't test the blood till literally almost 12 hours later.
Okay.
So she was drunk.
Yeah.
The firefighter that spotted her when she came down the first time the fire alarm went off said that she was wobbly and couldn't hardly stand up, you know. She was also on quinine, which is for malaria, duloxetine, dextromethorphan. I don't know. I mean,
Do you want Jacqueline to read that?
dextromorphan. But anyway,
So basically cough syrup.
yeah, and that's the one with that makes you hallucinate, kind of. But forget
Codeine? You mean like codeine?
Well, it's like it's like guanfacine.
Don't look at me. I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of the cough syrup ingredients.
the one that I want to talk about specifically with this one is the hypnotic zolpidem, which is also known as Stilnox, which is also known over here as Ambien.
Oh.
So we do have a PA with us. So tell us about mixing alcohol and Ambien and some of the effects. Have you encountered any of that?
So I'm thinking that would be respiratory depression, just really lethargic, no, I think they're a deadly combination.
Could make you unresponsive.
Yeah.
So
depress
like
your
if
breathing.
if someone tried to stuff you in a laundry chute, a garbage chute, like you wouldn't be responding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, all right. So I do want to say that even being at that level of being drunk, people were saying, or experts were saying, that there's no way that she could even walk to that garbage chute, much less put herself in it.
Would the combination of the drugs that she was on, I know you said lethargic and unresponsive, but like, would it affect your strength?
Yeah, I think so, because it just so kind of presses your respiratory drive, your nervous system. So I don't think you'd have much strength at all.
Okay.
Yeah, the central nervous system is what I see a lot in here.
Associate Professor Dr. Noreen Gunja, forensic psychologist on hypnotic zolpidem. Since March 2007, there have been strong warnings of the prescription of zolpidem due to significant adverse reactions in some patients. Zolpidem had been associated with hallucinations, amnesia, increased suicidality, and parasomnia's complex sleep-related behaviors. Do you want to tell everybody what happened last night? Talking about sleep behaviors?
Were you sleepwalking?
Talk about me not getting any sleep. All right. All right, here's what happened.
So,
Wait, before we go into this, can I just say that, remember last episode I said, did she ever sleepwalk? Anyway.
Yeah, and you
Good
asked if she had
question.
any substance.
Yeah, I did. Okay,
right.
go on.
All right, so last night is 1:00. Everyone's sleeping peaceful. No,
meanwhile,
let me tell you a story.
We are all exhausted. Like the dogs keep us up because Hubble and Luna both sleep in the bed, and they all like move around. They want to get under the covers and wake me the fuck up all the time. So I was exhausted last night.
So I'm in the bed. It's 1:00 in the morning, and I'm a combat veteran, so I am very jumpy, and especially if I hear something. Which last night I could have effing swore I heard whispering, either right outside the house or inside the house. I'm in bed and stealthy me, I just raise my head up, not making a sound. I look at Stella, our oldest coon, who was on the chair, looking at me and then looking at the hall, the direction of the hall. So I'm like, shit, someone's out there. I hear whispering. I grab my gun and I go out into the hall and do a whole perimeter check. Okay. No one's there at all. Then the dogs start barking because I like turn the lights on outside and wakes Nicole up. I checked the security cameras. No one was there. So guess who was whispering? This girl right here, dreaming about buying Nike shoes at the damn Goodwill.
I'm pretty sure, because I remember Luna like barked while she was still in the bed, and I remember being vividly in something, and I'm pretty sure I was buying a vintage Nike hat in my dream.
So you're probably like, damn, look at this shit.
I swear to God, I swear.
Could you hear any of the conversation? Was it like...
It was just whispering, but it wasn't just me. Like, I looked up and Stella's looking at me, and then she's looking...
She and John are like, you go. Like, they're having their, like, tactical conversation.
She's always like, you go.
I'm going to stay laying on this chair, this lounge chair, but, like, I heard it, too.
Dude,
But she was probably like, shut this bitch up. I'm trying to sleep. That's probably what
she was looking at the door. I don't know how you ventriloquist your whispering. Anyway, let's talk about...
It was me. I know it had to have been me, because I do remember being like vividly in something when Luna barked and woke me up, and you were like, I'm going to check something, and I was like, I was probably talking. Sorry.
All right, for you guys on live chat and for you guys listening to this, be very careful with this stuff. This is Zolpidem. It's described as hypnotic Zolpidem. It also goes by the term Stilnox and also by the American term Ambien. Now, it's not bad unless you mix it with alcohol. So if you've done that, don't do it. And I'm going to tell you...
If you've done that, go back in time and reverse what you did.
It's just alcohol being mixed with this stuff. So Ambien, Stilnox, or Zolpidem. Cases of sleepwalking, sleep driving, sleep eating, sleep cleaning. A professor, Olaf Drummer, says that some of the cases he knows of is frenzied running while sleeping, throwing punches, wielding knives, sleep telephone using, sleepwalking to friends and family's home. One audit revealed from February to June 2007, so February to June, which is a couple months. 4 months, 915 emergency calls, all related to Zolpidem. 13 deaths from Zolpidem. 13 deaths is a four-month period. 13 deaths, 4 attempted murders, 12 suicides, 14 attempted suicides, 20 overdoses, 32 sleep drivers, resulting in 60% accidents, 36 sleep eaters who gained weight, 5 sleep smokers, 9 sleep alcohol drinkers, 34 anxiety and panic attacks, 7 psychotic behaviors, 19 hallucinations. This is out of 915.
So is this with the combination of Zolpidem and alcohol, or just the people that were prescribed Zolpidem?
Zolpidem since then has put out very heavy warnings. In one study, this is crazy. In one study, 5% of users, 5%, 1 out of 20 people who use Zolpidem has experienced one of the following. And these effects are mostly in women and elderly, and they cannot remember the next morning. But the sleepwalking, sleep reenacting, sleep attempted murders, panic, sleep eating, all that stuff, 1 out of 20. That is a very tight ratio.
So that almost like feels like people like me who already do things in their sleep and they don't know it, like should not take that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that is... Like, what if I start sleepwalking or something like that? And I think I probably shared this in...
Well, you're sleep buying Nikes. That's for fucking sure.
I do believe that is what I was doing last night in my dream. But I know a couple of folks that I know. Wolfie said like she's had some serious sleepwalking. My friend's husband has night terrors and like literally has climbed out a window sleepwalking and like walked into the middle of the street. And this is absolutely awful. But I do know someone whose spouse shot themselves and killed themselves and they were asleep. Like, you can do horrific things. And I don't think he was on any sleep medication. I do know that person was jet lagged in that situation.
Terrible.
And he, like, no suicidal ideation or anything like that.
And it was just something that happened when he was asleep.
He was asleep.
Wow.
And they know that
how
he
did
was
they
asleep.
how did they determine that?
There were some like signs that she had from like noticing when he had sleptwalked in the past, and they had just come back from a trip overseas, and so he was very jet lagged. And like something that he said, like she could tell he was asleep. Probably similar to me when I'm like, yeah, go ahead, buy your video game when I'm asleep. Like that happened, and she went into the kitchen or another room.
So she was awake.
She was awake, and she knew that he was like talking in his sleep, and she went into another room and she heard the gunshot, and he died.
Yikes. That's terrible.
Absolutely horrific. So I say that knowing the extremes of
Just
sleepwalking.
Yeah.
You know, like you can do terrible things to yourself.
From the dosage, the recommended dosage, advised dosages, and I'm not a doctor, but 0.1 to 0.2 milligrams per liter, 0.2 being the absolute maximum. Phoebe was found at the very maximum level of zolpidem in her system, and this was hours after she passed away.
And isn't it like if you stay awake when you're on that, like you get very like high?
Yeah, she was awake. Remember, she went down from the first fire alarm. Anyway, Dr. Gunja, who you read from earlier, said that her BAC was in the functioning level. She did have 0.16% BAC, her alcohol level. And she said the BAC of 0.16% does not exclude the possibility that Phoebe was physically capable of entering the garbage chute unaided. So now she also says the drugs depressed her mood, judgment, and perception, and this may have promoted or exacerbated her suicidal thought, leading her to enter the garbage chute as a suicidal act. The question is, did the drugs impair her so she couldn't enter? This is what she says. In my opinion, both ethanol and zolpidem had a contributory effect leading to the death of Phoebe Handsjuk. Both these drugs would have impaired her judgment, ability to think rationally, and possibly exacerbate her suicidal ideation. They would also have had impaired her psychomotor function and body balance. Dr. Drummer says alcohol at her level will worsen and the adverse effects and depress the central nervous system as well. So at this point, now it is not suicide per se, but did Phoebe have an adverse reaction to zolpidem mixed with alcohol? Okay. Because Ann didn't kill her because he was at work. He's got an alibi. His friend could have did it, but think about it. And the reason the boyfriends look bad on for several reasons. Number one, he has power of attorney over Phoebe. Family wanted to cremate Phoebe, but Aunt would not release the body, which to me makes him not look guilty because wouldn't he want to cremate the body? It was his. He was in a de facto relationship, basically common law marriage.
Okay.
So he has control over those decisions. He didn't want to cremate her, but to bury her. This is where this strain comes between the family and Aunt, because they loved him up until he started doing this where he controls everything type of thing. You know what I'm saying? But we know Aunt didn't physically kill her because he was at work. So, and not only that, but at this point, as you'll see, she has been on this zolpidem, the Stilnox, all day long. He got her a job. She didn't show up to work. She would just be drinking all day. She would pop all these Stilnoxes, these zolpidems. He actually took those away from her at one point, which caused a big argument. I know this sounds crazy because he seems like a total D-bag, all right? But he actually, from what I am seeing, really cared about Phoebe, all right? I know it sounds crazy. He would call her drinking and her drugs the monster, and he would actually try to detox her, but he could not control, that monster. He would take away her drugs and everything else, but at the end of the day, his reaction may have been kind of far-fetched throughout the whole throughout the next following months. But I do believe, reading up on this guy, that it was genuine. Now, and I'm not saying that it wasn't a toxic relationship where he was putting her down and making her feel like trash. I think Shram said something, he made her feel like trash so much that she put herself in the dumpster kind of thing. That makes sense. And that also,
deep.
yeah, and that also kind of vibes with the email that obviously him or someone in his circle deleted those emails because it probably made him look pretty bad, some of the stuff he was sending. But that's just speculation. But from what I see, he was extremely upset about this, like in a real way, from what I see. Phoebe was actually in the process of moving out. She actually moved out a couple times. She just moved back in and she was going to move out again. She was drinking too much. She was disappearing for days where Anthony had no idea where she was. She was on prescription drugs. She would go for 3 or 4 days. No one would hear from her. She wouldn't answer her phone. The reason that Anthony had her phone to begin with is because she had thrown it in a drunken stupor and broken it. One of her friends grabbed it, gave it to Anthony. So Anthony was taking it for repair because she destroyed her phone in that stupor. She would post notes on the kitchen counter and even on his bed when he got back to the house and ordered his Chinese food. He claims that he saw a shrine, but it wasn't really a shrine. It was basically a photo of him and her and some scribbled notes. There was a candle burning and stuff like that, but it was kind of positioned so he would see it. This is the day before she sends her family this message.
Hi, family. I am in bed and about to sleep. When I wake, I will transform into the most incredible human being you've ever seen. Not. I will go to the hospital. It's safer there, and I hear the special tonight is tomato soup. Delicious, nutritious. I love you all very much, but not enough to send an individual text. Sorry about that, but time is sleep and I must be on my way. Merrily, merrily, merrily. Life is but a dream. XO.
Her family was already really worried about her leading up until this death. Mm-hmm. That wasn't the only weird message that she sent. She sent a couple other ones. She was writing these Post-it notes to herself in the apartment, which were found on the day that this happened. And reading from the book, quote, Ant's moods swung wildly. Sometimes he seemed normal, looking at things on his computer and checking his Facebook page, but then he'd lapse into extreme grief, lying curled up in the fetal position on the couch and hugging a cushion. His friend Christo Van Egmond called in on Saturday. He said that later he'd never seen Ant in such a state. He called her alcohol problem the monster. And not only that, but the entire family who liked Dan at first, and it was only after he wouldn't, release the body, stuff like that there was some tension. They liked him, and he was actually contacting Natalie, the mother, and the grandmother, keeping updates on Phoebe. The final night that she was acting, quote, lovely, and he gave her a bath and cooked her dinner. So he would be texting the mother and the grandma, who was extremely worried about their daughter. She's fine. He said something to the effect of, once she's sober, we'll address the monster and try to move past it. I mean, every podcast out there and every news site makes this guy look terrible. And I'm not saying he's the best guy in the world, but I can tell you, man, this guy actually tried. It was a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
It was very toxic. You have a guy who is very successful and with a girl way younger than him that doesn't fit in. And there were fights and everything else. There were probably some bouts and some, throwing stuff and stuff like that. But he definitely didn't kill her. He may have driven her to that, but, that's still not murder in my opinion. So weeks before the death, she actually made 4 attempts to end the relationship. The family starts noticing her erratic behavior. On October 5th, she emails her mom and asks her about redeeming her 21st birthday present for an overseas trip. She wanted to take up this offer at a short notice, kind of like, let's do it real quick type of thing. On October 20th, she leaves Ant's apartment completely. She takes a bus all the way to Malakuta. She is finally done. And now she has a job. Remember, he got her a job at this marketing company. She just leaves that job and goes and talks to people about volunteering in India. Just crazy stuff, right? Anyway, 4 days later, she decides to move back in. During that time when she moved back in, he remembers her pulling out a chair, putting it on the balcony of the 12th floor apartment and basically looking over the edge, like she was going to jump type of thing. Tuesday, 30th of November, remember the murder happened, or the death happened on December 2nd. She called a psychologist. She received several numbers for suicide helplines. Later, after that, she was with a good friend, Bryn Hessian, who she would always drink with and do some drugs with. And she left him a voicemail that said if he didn't call her back quickly, that she would, quote, throw her phone away and leave the world. Another friend named Bob Gold, who they actually met in 2009, but they kind of rekindled the friendship right before her death. They discussed suicide together, depression, and he describes Aunt as a genuine person who made Phoebe very happy, and she was very happy with him, and he describes Aunt being very happy with her. He meets up with her a few days before the death, November 30th. She pleaded for him to take her to a drug dealer's house. He says that he was pretty sure that she had already taken a pill by the time they got there. She tried to kiss me, but I asked her to stop, at which she became violent, punching and kicking. I had to restrain her until she calmed down. I told her that I couldn't handle this and would take her back to Aunt's. So after that, she goes back to that same friend's house, and around 7 p.m., this is 2 days before the murder, she starts, quote, playing chicken with traffic, jumping out in front of cars that were approaching and then jumping out of the way. This was right around the time where he takes that steel knocks away. So, I mean, do you kind of see where this is kind of going?
Yeah, she has such erratic behavior. Right. Yeah, it doesn't sound like a good situation.
Aunt texted the grandmother and said, "Thanks, Marm. She is a sleeping beauty right now and not the beast she was. Resting well. As I've explained, now is the time to heal. Then when she feels okay, we'll work out a plan." So things are not looking good. Where are you guys at now as far as with this?
It's definitely and I know this is, you mentioned before on the first one that this is something like we're revisiting this episode, but I forgot about all these details, and I'm like, it's almost like I'm hearing it for the first time again. And it really, I don't know, it's making me think about where she's at.
It is not nearly as black and white as part one.
Right.
Yeah. I agree.
Not nearly.
So honestly, guys, I didn't know that there were so many deaths from trash chutes, and there's a lot, and they all have one thing in common, which is crazy. Now, I can't prove this for every one of them because I don't have the autopsy reports. But do you remember when we went to Baltimore, the two that happened within the year of each other? All right, so this is from the Baltimore Sun. 2 deaths at city high-rise are not linked, police say. Scrolling down here, the autopsy report reviewed. This is about Kumar, Harsh Kumar. What do you notice right here?
Zolpidem.
Zolpidem, otherwise known as Ambien, was found in his system. Now, I couldn't get everyone's autopsy report because they're not public, but how many people are prescribed sleeping pills like Ambien?
A lot. It's very common.
It is.
I actually remember my grandfather, before he passed away, this was, it was probably, I'm trying to think, last time I spent a night at my grandparents' beach house in New Hampshire, but I must have been in high school or earlier. And so this was 15 years ago, at least. Yeah, 31. And so I remember he is a Scotch drinker, but he was also in his early 80s, late 70s at the time. I remember him being prescribed Ambien and having his nightly Scotch. And I remember him being he was drunk and funny, but could barely get up the stairs to his bedroom. He was laughing and having a great time, being silly. But I remember being dog, he drunk, or he whatever, he high. And it was because he was on a combination of Ambien and Scotch.
So with the autopsies, they're not all public. The newspaper shows some, but you remember the other one that happened with Elizabeth? Yeah. In the same apartment building. So this is from that one post that I showed you earlier, the Reddit post. Somebody asked, "I'm really sorry for your loss. Can I ask how much alcohol she had in her system? A history of mental illness, yada, yada, yada." She had the typical amount of alcohol a 23-year-old would have on a Saturday night while visiting friends. We went to a bar in Canton neighborhood, so she was definitely drunk. So the question I have is, was she prescribed Ambien? Is 1 out of 20 people have really bad effects. I'm talking about driving, sleeping, wielding knives while sleeping, attempted murder while sleeping, you know? Mixing Ambien with alcohol is I believe doing all this with these trash chutes. I was trying to think about why, like what mindset do you have to be in? Let's say she was unconscious. I'm gonna tell you my theory here, and I know I'm different than everyone else, but there was no one else involved. She put herself down there. There were blood. The blood in the apartment was from her, from an episode or whatever. For instance, the door was locked. I honestly believe that she was going out somewhere at the time, and she locked their dog in the master bedroom. Her Prada sunglasses were found. Why would she be wearing Prada sunglasses inside? I feel like she was going out somewhere. Where's the broken glass that didn't fit up? I think she broke a glass. She cut her hands, probably not intentionally, but cut herself because she was drunk and on Zolpidem. Got blood on the mouse. She was looking something up. They didn't take the computer or anything, you know. And then I think she actually put that glass in the garbage. That's why the missing glass is there. And that's why there's blood everywhere. And then there's something here, man. There's something that I've showed you other cases where, I mean, Harsh Kumar wasn't stuffed down this garbage chute. No one did that to him. Like he doesn't have any enemies. This 23-year-old, that guy that he met that night didn't stuff her down a garbage chute. Ant didn't kill Phoebe. You know why? Because there's easier ways. Look how many drugs she has. How easy it would be to overdose her. She wants the drugs anyway. You could overdose her. There's so many. You want to stuff her down a trash chute? That doesn't even make any sense. Plus, there was CCTV, if you guys remember. Ant didn't know that there was a loop over recording it. Why would he risk being on CCTV, a CCTV camera that shows the trash chute that they didn't look at? Why would this guy, the son of a prominent judge and a very successful business, why would he hoist an unconscious body, which, by the way, is extremely hard to do, not just to just throw in a trash dump, but walk all the way down the hall with an unconscious body firemen carry and then stuff it down a garbage chute? How ridiculous does that sound now?
I feel like also, I mean, going back to last episode, my comment, like if someone saw her getting in the garbage chute, they'd be like, what are you doing? But like, I feel like if someone saw him carrying an unconscious body down the hallway, it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, their relationship was very toxic. Dude, I've been in a relationship toxic like that too. It just does not work out. Like I dated a girl that was heavily in drugs, drinking, all that stuff. She ended up taking her life 2 years ago, but I mean, I can kind of see that. And there is probably things that he is not proud of. He probably isn't the best dude in the world either, but I know sure as damn well he didn't do it. Even though the author of the book is, you know, dead set on him being the killer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you just saw a lot of other cases. And there is another reason besides the Zolpidem and alcohol. Now, the Zolpidem and alcohol, I think because no one's putting this together with Zolpidem and alcohol and then garbage chutes like that. I'm the guy that is putting this together right now. Like that is the killer here. I can fucking guarantee you if every one of these garbage chutes, because that woman we talked about, the socialite, she was drinking. She was at a party. You're telling me a 40-year-old woman isn't on Ambien? Everyone's fucking on Ambien.
Yeah, it's a common drug.
She fucking threw herself down the garbage chute. The CEO of WebMD didn't do it because you know why? There's fucking cameras everywhere. Like who? And you know, it's outrageous. But I think the bigger picture here is letting people know that if you live in a effing apartment building with a garbage chute, I don't know what it does to your mind. Maybe you take it and, I mean, I can't imagine why you would put yourself down there, but it happens. And I have a video of it being possible because the big thing was, it's not even possible for someone to do that. It is. Now, this is a different story, but this man puts himself down a garbage chute, and you're going to see the video, because he lost his keys. So this is him putting himself down a garbage chute. He is putting himself, the friends don't even help him. There's a couple of friends there. One of them comes into play, but he puts himself down garbage chute because he lost his keys down there. There's a lot of cases like this. I'm going to show you how much, but so this is like the video. This is an actual video of them. This guy is getting his keys. He lost his keys down there. He's dead. He is dead because he tried to get down a garbage chute, you know? I mean, it's the same size door. It is possible to do. You know what I'm saying? And if you just look up, let me show you right quick how many deaths there are. It's kind of outrageous.
I'm shocked at how
Like here's
common this actually is.
Yeah.
Here's more right here. New Jersey Penn State student Naveen Dalawi but falls down a garbage chute. There's that wealthy woman. LA woman gets trapped down a garbage chute. Staten Island woman dies after being found in a garbage chute. It is a lot.
They need to put stickers that say "Do not go down here." Not that people would pay attention to them, but I mean, like,
man found dead. Man found dead in Southwest Atlanta trash chute, and NYPD investigating a woman of a garbage chute. Here's another woman right here, 19-year-old Penn State, Justine Gross. Hey,
Wow.
See a picture of her. This is her right here. You think she wants to throw herself down a garbage chute, or do you think maybe she was drinking a little bit and then I'm gonna take some Ambien, and then whatever the fuck it does. Whatever it does to you, I really think that should be more well known.
Yeah,
because I can fucking promise you that all of these cases are the same: alcohol and Ambien and garbage chutes. And I'm the only one that has ever made that connection. Ain't no one else made that fucking connection. And I think that should be out there. I mean, I don't know. I'm sorry. I know I kind of derailed this. What do you guys think?
No, I think that's
you
the theme.
you didn't debunk, you didn't derail, you debunked.
Right.
I mean, like, the reason I couldn't even finish that book is because not only Anthony, right? Because, yeah, he's the main suspect, but it takes his friends and then halfway through the book is just a what if. Like, well, what if he did this? What if he did that? Well, what if he didn't? You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck?
If this was I know that we are sometimes media cases are guilty until proven innocent, particularly when it comes to like the husband did it, the boyfriend did it, whatever. If this was presented in a court of law, I would say like ain't no case.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, but the Phoebe Handsjuk case there was a huge coroner's report about it. And just going down, I'll show you the actual coroner's take on it. And I know I'm different. Like, I'm the only podcaster that has his opinion, which is crazy because my opinion also reflects that of the medical examiner, the coroner, the forensic pathologist, and the detectives. I know that's weird, but I do take that. So this is the coroner's report, which has all of it in there. It says, going up here, I conclude that in a zolpidem alcohol-induced sleepwalking, automatic-like state, or deeply confused and disoriented, Phoebe entered the chute and began to climb towards the ground floor. This is at the end of the coroner's inquest, after months of testimonies and bringing everyone in. In the course of the effort, she sustained a number of relatively superficial injuries to different parts of her body. I mean, there's easier ways the ant could have killed her.
Right.
And like for the book, you remember you read the quote where, who is this woman that wrote this book? She says she's an investigative reporter, journalist. She didn't go to school for that. She was like a nurse, which is nothing wrong with that, but she's, you know what I'm saying? She says those bruises look like finger marks.
It's not.
You fell 12 floors down a fucking trash chute. You
Could be
got
from
bruises on you, man. I mean, what the fuck? What the fuck? Like, who the fuck? All right, anyway, I'm sorry.
So we are at the same conclusion, I think, from the first episode that we did, but this is a lot of new
evidence,
supporting evidence on.
This guy says, well, so this is in Australia, obviously, but he is saying, I further recommend that henceforward only 5 milligram tablets rather than 10 milligram tablets be permitted in all supplied users in Australia. I recommend that the ATGA, which is like the FDA, I guess, says that recommended for administration to female patients be reduced by 50%.
Wow.
Dude, this is what people need to be talking about. You know why? Because there are real people dying out there.
Yeah.
From trash chutes. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the fucking killer, and no one cares about this. Fuck, I know I'm preaching here.
No, it's interesting.
The truth, though.
So knowing Jen and I have heard this case once before, long time ago. It's probably been 2 years since we covered this case.
Yeah.
What's your take, J-Dog?
Yeah, so this I think presented first as like kind of like a black and white, your traditional like, oh, boyfriend, no, whoever kind of got into an altercation, they got into a fight, something went down, he took advantage or whatever, and he got rid of her in this garbage chute. So I think it sounded pretty kind of cut and dry in the beginning, but then once you kind of unearth all of her background and what she was dealing with and what she was taking at the time, it was like, wow, this was actually pretty eye-opening that you can't just look at it so black and white. You have to look at all of the pieces to the puzzle to kind of fit together. So yeah, it was really, really interesting.
I mean, they made a whole podcast about this, and obviously it's real biased. I mean, no one's going to buy a suicide story. They're going to want some, oh, who did it? Like, look at the boyfriend type of thing. That's what sells, you know?
Right.
I don't know, man. I mean,
So Shram asked, are we certain that the toxicology report wasn't tampered with? And I don't know if you can answer that for certain, but I think I don't know if anyone can ever answer that for certainty.
Yeah.
Like, if
what do you mean tampered with?
If a toxicology report was tampered with. So I think she's asking could
she
that
was
have
on
been?
Still Knox. We know she was on Still Knox because, and her family knows that too, because she had a problem with that. That was in her life, and presumably she was taking it that day, and a lot of it because it was found in her system. I don't know if you can fake a toxicology report. I don't know.
So I think she
certainly
might
could fake
be
the
getting
toxicology
to the
report.
fact that the boyfriend's family was so prominent, and were they was that a cover up?
That's the problem, though. You have the boyfriend it's like the Kendrick Lamar case.
Kendrick Johnson.
It's like the Kendrick Johnson case. Okay, and this is what drives me crazy. This kid falls down a high school gym mat. I'm the only one that says it was an accident. All right. Oh, but wait. The two brothers that he had a fight with earlier that year, their dad's an FBI agent. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Obviously a cover-up.
Obviously it's something, you know? I mean, yeah, they're prominent, and honestly, the guy, I wouldn't hang out with the dude. He doesn't seem very nice to me, but I mean, I don't know, Sherm. I mean, maybe they did, but at the end of the day, that book was like that too. What if this happened? And I feel like at the end of the book, she was trying to convince herself. It was just kind of sad to read that book, actually. Anyway,
and
sorry.
Lauren said, John, I think this is important. I have a long history with medication, and it does change your behavior.
I mean, her whole family called, they knew about the monster. You read that quote where she, Anthony texted the grandmother and said, then we'll talk about the monster when she's sober. They knew about this. I mean, and the text messages that you read, I mean, that was out there, was it not? I mean, I know you read it correctly, but was it not the way it was
Kind of bizarre.
written? Really bizarre.
Really bizarre.
Mm-hmm. Really bizarre. I mean, there's stuff like that. Now, I don't think he knew that she would do that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, who can imagine being thrown down a garbage chute? But it is possible. Shit.
Lauren's vote is an accident.
I'm not trying to force that on you guys. I just, I don't know. I kind of wanted to do this case again, not because I discount y'all's opinion at all, but I wanted to make sure that
You did it right the first time.
I did it right the first time, yeah. Because, dude, everyone else says that she was killed. And I'm saying that, dude, there's plenty of cases here in America where 23-year-olds after a night of drinking are throwing themselves down trash chutes.
And they were all on Ambien.
And IT professionals at Johns Hopkins University throwing them down trash chutes, and there's a link there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that's important, but I don't know. So I'm obviously, my opinion is that it was just,
Good job, John.
I mean, dude, I'm not trying to force my opinion on y'all. man.
No, I think that that's a hard kind of case, and I think it takes a lot of guts to go to do different than what everybody else thinks.
We're gonna get so many 1-star reviews off this one. It's not even fun. I'm not even joking, dude.
That's okay.
But man, I appreciate it. I don't know.
And maybe it was a combination of not a combination of suicidality and an accident, and that's not what I'm trying to say, but maybe she was feeling that kind of way, but also was on Ambien, and maybe it wasn't I'm gonna do this to myself. Maybe it was
intoxication. She didn't even know
and
what
maybe
she was doing.
and maybe it was, I wonder what would happen if I not subconsciously,
Right,
not
exactly.
I'm gonna do who knows.
Well, so what I was
No
thinking,
one knows because no one saw.
what I was going over in my head last night night, like in bed, I was thinking, all right, so let's say alcohol and Ambien mixed together is causing all of this. And like if I had the toxicology reports available and we saw that link, all right, let's say that they're unconscious. What are they possibly thinking they're doing? Like, how is it making them want to jump down a trash chute? At one point, one friend of Phoebe's, before they thought it was murder, said that Phoebe liked to jump off things. She was a free bird. She was always jumping off things. So maybe that's why she did that or whatever. But is there something that people are thinking of when those two things get mixed together that are making them go to a trash chute? You know?
Well,
it's really weird.
But it could be an altered state of reality where you don't actually think it's a trash chute either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you think
maybe it's a slide or a trap door or like you don't know what it is.
But it's like all the same with every case. It got to be, because like why would you? It's so weird, man. I don't know, crazy.
Yeah.
But I hope you guys like that.
It was great.
Stay off of that shit, man. If you take Ambien, don't be drinking alcohol. End story.
Or stick with the chamomile, the CBD, the Benadryl, the melatonin, other things.
I mean, the sleep drive, like 1 out of 20 patients, and the sleep driving, 60% accidents.
I believe it.
What the fuck?
I believe it.
Anyway, all right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed and this Talk Murder Me podcast. And until next time, good night, you lovely, lovely people.